The wrench slipped from my greasy fingers as I heard my wife Jennifer's voice drift through the kitchen window. Okay, so here's my list of things I'd change about my husband Dave if I could. Her tone had that fake cheerful quality she reserved for her social media performances. I froze under the hood of my battered Ford pickup, engine oil dripping onto the concrete of our suburban driveway. Through the thin walls of our ranch house, I could hear our 18-year-old daughter Ava giggling behind the phone camera. Number one, Jennifer continued, her voice gaining confidence. I'd give him some actual ambition. The man's been working at the same auto shop for 15 years like it's some kind of achievement. The wrench clattered to the ground. I should have walked away, should have cranked up the radio, should have done anything except stand there listening to my wife of 20 years tear me apart for internet strangers. Number two, and this is a big one, I'd teach him how to dress. Flannel shirts and work boots might be fine for his little mechanic friends, but when I'm trying to build my career in public relations, I need a husband who doesn't look like he just crawled out from under a car. Ava's laughter echoed through the window. Mom, you're so savage. The comments are already going crazy. My hands clenched into fists. 20 years of marriage, 2 decades of coming home, covered in grease so I could pay for Jennifer's marketing degree, her designer clothes, her endless networking events. And this was my reward, becoming content for her desperate grab at social media fame. Number 3, Jennifer's voice rose with theatrical flair. I'd give him a personality that doesn't revolve around boxing matches and beer with his loser friends at Murphy's Bar, the boxing gym. My sanctuary. The one place where I wasn't Jennifer's disappointing husband or Ava's embarrassing father. Where Marty, my old trainer, still called me champ even though my fighting days ended before Ava was born. Where I could hit the heavy bag until my knuckles ached and remember what it felt like to be respected. Oh, and number 4, Jennifer was really warming up now. I'd teach him that a real man doesn't get jealous when his wife has male friends. Some of us have evolved past caveman mentality. Male friends. Like that pretty boy TikTok influencer Ryan Mitchell she'd been collaborating with on her social media campaigns. The 28-year-old with perfect teeth and a Tesla who called himself a lifestyle guru while living off his parents' trust fund. He's too dense to realize how pathetic he looks, Ava chimed in. And I heard the distinctive sound of her phone buzzing with notifications. This is already getting shared everywhere. Too dense. My own daughter thought I was stupid. I wiped my hands on an old rag and pulled out my phone. Jennifer's TikTok account showed 847 followers, a number she obsessed over like a stock ticker. But this video was different. The view count was climbing fast. 1,200 views, 1,800, 2,400. The comments section was a feeding frenzy. Girl, why are you even still married to him? Your husband sounds like a total loser. You deserve so much better. Is this the guy in your profile pic? Yikes. My jaw tightened as I scrolled through dozens of strangers mocking my appearance, my job, my entire existence based on Jennifer's performance. She'd turned our marriage into entertainment, our private struggles into content for her desperate climb toward influencer status. Then I saw the comment that made my vision blur with rage. At Ryan Mitchell official. Jennifer, you're too good for this. A queen deserves a king, not a court jester. Ryan Mitchell. The pretty boy with his perfectly styled hair and his motivational quotes overlaid on sunset photos. The man my wife had been texting until midnight, claiming it was professional networking. I looked up at our house, the house I'd been paying for with my pathetic job while Jennifer built her brand. The mortgage I'd never missed a payment on. The utilities I'd kept running through my overtime shifts. The college fund I'd been building for Ava since she was born. My phone buzzed with a text from Murphy, my supervisor at the garage. Hey Dave, my wife just sent me this video. You okay, man? Then another from Big Jim at the boxing gym. Saw your wife's TikTok. Come hit the bags if you need to work off some steam. And another from my neighbor, Mrs. Dunlop. David, I'm so sorry. That woman doesn't know what she has. The whole town was watching my humiliation. Jennifer had made me a laughingstock, and she'd done it deliberately, publicly, permanently. I walked to the kitchen window and peered inside. Jennifer was reading comments aloud to Ava, both of them laughing at each cruel joke. My wife's eyes were bright with the attention, the validation she craved more than oxygen. Look at this one, Jennifer giggled. Your husband probably doesn't even know how to use TikTok. He doesn't. He can barely figure out how to update his Facebook status. That's when something inside me snapped. Not into rage, that would have been easier. Instead, I felt a cold, calculating calm settle over my shoulders, like a familiar jacket. Jennifer wanted to play games? She wanted to make our marriage public entertainment? Fine, let's play. I opened my own TikTok account, the one I'd created months ago, to keep track of Ava's posts, though I'd never used it. My finger hovered over the comment button on Jennifer's video. The view count had hit 5,000 and was climbing. I typed, "Great list, honey. Here's mine." 1. The wife. Posted. The response was immediate. Hearts and fire emojis flooded my comment. Savage. Plot twist. The husband strikes back. Oh. But I wasn't done. Not even close. I scrolled through my contacts until I found the number for Peterson Legal Services. Tom Peterson had handled my father's estate. A straightforward guy who didn't ask unnecessary questions. Tom, it's Dave Mitchell. I need divorce papers drawn up. Tonight if possible. Dave? Are you sure about this? Maybe you should. I'm sure. And Tom? I want them served publicly. Very publicly. The next morning, I woke up to 847 notifications on my phone. Jennifer's video had exploded overnight, 15,000 views and climbing. But the comments section had shifted. My simple response had sparked a war. Team husband all the way. She's about to find out what for better or worse really means. This man just ended his wife's whole career with 5 words. I rolled out of bed and padded to the kitchen, where Jennifer sat at the breakfast bar, with her laptop open, frantically refreshing her social media metrics. Her perfectly straightened hair was pulled back in a messy bun, and she wore the silk pajamas she'd bought for her morning routine videos. Dave. Her voice was tight. We need to talk. About what? I poured coffee into my usual mug, a chipped ceramic piece from Murphy's garage that Jennifer had been trying to throw away for years. Oh, about your little stunt last night. That comment wasn't funny. Wasn't trying to be funny. I took a sip of coffee and studied her face. The confident woman from yesterday's video had been replaced by someone who looked genuinely rattled. Just being honest. Isn't that what TikTok is about? Authentic content. Ava shuffled into the kitchen wearing an oversized college sweatshirt, her phone already in her hand. Dad, your comment has like 2,000 likes. People are making memes about it. Memes? I raised an eyebrow. Yeah, like when your wife roasts you online but you have the divorce papers ready, with pictures of guys looking smug. It's actually pretty hilarious. Jennifer's face flushed. This isn't a joke, Ava. Your father is embarrassing our entire family. I'm embarrassing the family? I set down my mug carefully. That's interesting, coming from someone who just told 5,000 strangers that her husband is a pathetic loser. It was just content, Dave. People don't take it seriously. Tom Peterson took it seriously enough to draft divorce papers. The kitchen went silent except for the hum of the refrigerator. Jennifer's face went pale. You didn't. I did. They'll be ready this afternoon. Ava looked up from her phone, suddenly interested. Wait, are you guys actually getting divorced? That depends on your mother. I finished my coffee and rinsed the mug in the sink. She wanted to make our marriage public. Now it's public. Jennifer's hands shook as she closed her laptop. Dave, please, can we just talk about this privately? Privately? I laughed, but there was no humor in it. You destroyed private when you hit that post button. You want public? Let's go public. My phone buzzed with a text from the process server. Papers ready. Where do you want them delivered? I looked at Jennifer, who was staring at her phone with growing horror. Her video had hit 20,000 views, but the comments were no longer supportive. The narrative had shifted overnight. You know what the funny thing is? I said, grabbing my work jacket from the back of the chair. I actually loved you, past tense, 20 years, and I never once thought about leaving. Even when you started staying out late with your networking events. Even when you stopped wearing your wedding ring because it didn't fit your aesthetic. Even when you started treating me like hired help in my own house. Jennifer's eyes filled with tears. Real ones, not the performative crying she did for her mental health awareness posts. Dave, I'm sorry. The video was stupid. I'll take it down. Too late for that. Screenshots are forever, right? Isn't that what you tell Ava about being careful online? I texted the process server back. Deliver them at her office, Blackwell PR on Main Street. Make sure there are witnesses. Jennifer grabbed my arm as I headed for the door. Please don't do this. My career. Your career? I turned to face her fully. You mean the career I've been funding for 3 years while you build your brand? The career that apparently requires you to humiliate your husband for content? It's not like that. Then what is it like, Jennifer? Explain it to me, since I'm too dense to understand. She opened her mouth, then closed it. For once in her life, my wife, the woman who made a living crafting perfect responses for corporate clients, had nothing to say. I walked out the door and climbed into my truck. As I backed out of the driveway, I could see Jennifer through the kitchen window, her head in her hands. Ava was recording her, probably for another TikTok. The irony wasn't lost on me. At Murphy's garage, the guys were waiting with coffee and grins. Word traveled fast in a town of 30,000 people, especially when it involved social media drama. Dave, Big Murphy slapped me on the back. Heard you're famous now. Infamous is more like it. Nah, man, my wife showed me that video. Jennifer crossed a line. Nobody talks about their spouse like that, especially not online. Jake, one of the younger mechanics, held up his phone. Dude, you're trending on TikTok. #Team Dave is everywhere. I looked at his screen. Someone had created a compilation video of Jennifer's original post, followed by my comment, set to dramatic music. It had 50,000 views in 12 hours. This is insane, I muttered. This is justice, Murphy corrected. That woman's been looking down her nose at this whole town since she got that PR job. About time someone reminded her where she came from. My phone rang. Jennifer's number. Dave, please come home. We need to fix this. Nothing to fix. I'm at work. You know, that pathetic job you told the internet about. The process server is here. I could hear commotion in the background. Voices. What sounded like Jennifer crying. Good. Hope you got it on video. Content is content, right? I hung up and turned off my phone. For the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. By lunch, the video of Jennifer getting served divorce papers had 100,000 views. Someone at her office had filmed the whole thing and posted it with the caption, "When keeping it real goes wrong." I watched it on Jake's phone during my break, sitting in the garage's break room with a sandwich and a Coke. Jennifer looked genuinely shocked when the process server approached her desk. She'd been in the middle of what looked like an important client meeting. Two people in expensive suits, who seemed increasingly uncomfortable as the situation unfolded. Ma'am, are you Jennifer Mitchell? Yes, but I'm in a meeting. You've been served. The moment she realized what was happening, Jennifer's professional composure cracked completely. She started crying. Not the pretty tears from her emotional content, but ugly, desperate sobs that made her mascara run. This is a mistake, she kept saying to the camera. This is all a big mistake. The comments were ruthless. Consequences meet actions. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Imagine destroying your marriage for TikTok clout. The husband's revenge era is everything. My phone had been buzzing non-stop since I turned it back on. Missed calls from Jennifer, from Ava, from Jennifer's best friend Jessica, from numbers I didn't recognize. Text messages ranged from supportive, "You're my hero," to hostile, "You're a monster," to bizarre, "Can I interview you for my podcast?" But the call that mattered came from Marty at the boxing gym. Dave, you need to get down here. We need to talk. Marty's gym occupied the basement of an old brick building downtown, all exposed pipes and flickering fluorescent lights. The heavy bags hung like sleeping giants in the dim space, and the smell of sweat and leather was as familiar as my own cologne. Marty was waiting by the ring, a compact man in his 60s who'd trained fighters for 4 decades. He'd been trying to teach me discipline since I was 16, with mixed results. Sit down, champ. I settled onto the bench by the speed bag. I know what you're going to say. Do you? Because from where I'm sitting, you just declared war on your wife in front of the entire internet, and you don't look like a man with a plan. I have a plan. Divorce papers aren't a plan. They're a nuclear option. What happens next? I'd been asking myself the same question. The cold satisfaction I'd felt this morning was wearing off, replaced by something harder to define. Not regret. I didn't regret anything yet, but awareness of how far I'd already fallen down this rabbit hole. She humiliated me, Marty, publicly, deliberately. And now you've humiliated her back. Even Stevens. You could stop here, work things out privately, maybe save your marriage. Could I? You didn't see her face when she was making that video. She enjoyed it. She enjoyed tearing me down for strangers on the internet. Marty was quiet for a long moment, studying my face with the same intensity he used to watch my footwork in the ring. Your choice, champ. But if you're going to war, you better be prepared to win. And you better be prepared for what winning looks like. What do you mean? I mean, Jennifer's not going to take this lying down. She's got friends, connections, that fancy job. If you want to play hardball, she'll play harder. As if summoned by his words, My phone buzzed with a call from an unknown number. Dave Mitchell. This is Amanda Blackwell from Blackwell PR. I think we need to have a conversation. Jennifer's boss. The woman who'd built the most successful public relations firm in 3 counties, who'd taken Jennifer under her wing and taught her everything about managing public image. I'm listening. Not over the phone. Can you meet me at the Riverside Diner in an hour? I looked at Marty, who was shaking his head slowly. I'll be there. The Riverside Diner sat on the banks of Miller Creek, a chrome and vinyl throwback that served the best pie in town. Amanda Blackwell was waiting in a corner booth, a woman in her 50s with silver hair and the kind of sharp suit that cost more than I made in a month. Mr. Mitchell, thank you for coming. I slid into the booth across from her, suddenly aware of my grease-stained work clothes and calloused hands. Let me be direct, she continued without preamble. Your wife is one of my most promising employees. She has real talent for crisis management and brand rehabilitation. But right now, she's the crisis. Not my problem anymore. Isn't it? Because from where I sit, you're the one who created this situation. The waitress appeared with coffee. I waited until she left before responding. I created it. Did you see the video she posted? I did. It was poorly conceived and unprofessional. Jennifer knows that. But your response has turned a minor social media misstep into a viral sensation that's reflecting badly on my company. Again, not my problem. Amanda smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Mr. Mitchell, I've spent 30 years managing public relations disasters. I know how these things work. Right now, you're riding a wave of public sympathy, the wronged husband, the working-class hero standing up to his social climbing wife. It's a compelling narrative. But narratives can be changed. Stories can be reframed. Jennifer made one video mocking her husband. You've responded by publicly humiliating her, serving her divorce papers at work, and turning her into a laughingstock. Keep pushing, and you'll stop being the sympathetic victim and start being the vindictive ex-husband. I sipped my coffee and studied her face. Amanda Blackwell hadn't built her reputation by making idle threats. What do you want? I want you to back down. Delete your social media accounts. Stop engaging with this story. Let it fade away. In return, I'll make sure Jennifer does the same. No more videos, no more drama. You can handle your divorce quietly, like adults. And if I don't, then I'll destroy you. Her voice remained pleasant, conversational. I'll hire investigators to dig into every aspect of your life. I'll find every mistake you've ever made, every embarrassing moment, every unflattering photo. I'll craft a narrative that turns you from a sympathetic figure into a cautionary tale about toxic masculinity and domestic intimidation. The diner suddenly felt very quiet. Even the clatter from the kitchen seemed muted. You're threatening me. I'm offering you a choice. Take the win you've already scored and walk away. Or find out what happens when you go to war with someone who does this for a living. I thought about Jennifer at home, probably crafting her response video with Ava's help. I thought about the comments section that had become a battlefield between Team Jennifer and Team Dave. I thought about Marty's warning about being prepared to win. I need to think about it. Of course, but don't think too long. This story has a shelf life, and right now it's still fresh. Push it much further, and it starts to stink. Whoosh. She left a 20 on the table and walked out, leaving me alone with my coffee and the weight of her words. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Your wife's a cheater. I have proof. Call me. Whoosh. I stared at the message for a long moment, then looked out the window at Miller Creek flowing past the diner. The water was dark and fast, carrying debris downstream toward the river. Some currents, once you got caught in them, didn't let you go. Whoosh. The proof arrived in my email an hour later. Photos of Jennifer and Ryan Mitchell at the Lakeside Motel, timestamps showing they'd been meeting there for 3 months. The anonymous sender had included screenshots of their text messages, planning their encounters around my work schedule. Can't wait to see you today. Dave's working late again. Whoosh deserves so much better than him. After my TikTok goes viral, maybe I'll finally have the courage to leave. I sat in my truck outside the diner, staring at the evidence of my wife's betrayal. 20 years of marriage, and she'd been planning her exit strategy with a man barely older than our daughter, but the final screenshot was the one that made my hands shake with rage. A message from Jennifer to Ryan sent just 2 hours after her original TikTok video went live. Phase 1 complete. The divorce will be easy now that everyone thinks he's pathetic. Then we can be together publicly. Whoosh. Phase 1. She'd planned the whole thing. The humiliating video wasn't a spontaneous moment of cruelty. It was a calculated attack, designed to make me the villain in our divorce. My phone rang. The same unknown number. "You got my package?" The voice was female, older, with a slight southern accent. "Who is this?" "Someone who's tired of watching Jennifer Mitchell destroy good people." "My name's Carol Peterson. I clean rooms at the lakeside." Tom Peterson's wife. The lawyer I'd hired for the divorce. "Why are you helping me?" "Because that woman and her boy toy have been treating my motel like their personal playground for months. Rude, demanding, acting like they're better than the help. Last week she complained to management about me, tried to get me fired because I accidentally interrupted one of their meetings. What do you want in return?" "Nothing. Just want to see justice done." "But Dave, be careful how you use this. That woman's got connections, and she's not going to go down easy." After she hung up, I sat in the parking lot for 20 minutes, watching normal people go about their normal lives. A mother pushing a stroller. An elderly couple sharing an ice cream cone. A teenager walking a dog. My normal life was over. Jennifer had made sure of that when she posted her video. But she'd made one crucial mistake. She'd underestimated me. I drove to Marty's gym, where the old trainer was working with a young fighter on the heavy bag. The rhythmic thudding of leather on canvas was hypnotic, meditative. "Marty, I need advice." He sent the kid to run laps and joined me by the ring. Let me guess, it got complicated. I showed him the photos and messages. Marty studied them with the same careful attention he gave to fight footage, looking for weaknesses and opportunities. "Well, champ, looks like your wife's been playing chess while you were playing checkers. What do I do?" "Depends. You want to win the divorce or you want to win the war." "What's the difference?" "Winning the divorce means you use this evidence to get a favorable settlement. Keep it quiet, handle it through lawyers, come out ahead financially. Winning the war means you destroy her the same way she tried to destroy you." I thought about Amanda Blackwell's threat at the diner, about Jennifer's fake tears when she got served, about the calculated cruelty in her text messages. "I want to win the war." Marty nodded slowly. "Then you need to be smarter than her. She's got professional help, connections, experience managing public opinion. You've got the truth and the element of surprise. How do I use that?" "Timing, champ. Right now, she thinks she's in control. She's probably planning her comeback, figuring out how to spin this whole thing in her favor. Let her think she's winning, then hit her when she's not expecting it." That evening, I came home to find Jennifer in the living room with Ava and Jessica, her best friends since college. They had laptops and phones spread across the coffee table like a war room. "Dave." Jennifer's voice was carefully neutral. "We need to talk." "I'm listening." Jessica looked up from her laptop. She was a real estate agent who'd always treated me like something she'd scrape off her shoe. But tonight there was something different in her expression. Nervousness, maybe. "Dave, this whole situation has gotten out of hand," Jessica said. "Jennifer made a mistake with that video, but your response has been completely disproportionate." "Disproportionate? Serving her divorce papers at work? Humiliating her in front of her colleagues? That's not the behavior of a mature adult." I looked at Jennifer, who was studying her hands. "Is that what you think? That I'm being immature?" "I think we both made mistakes," Jennifer said carefully. "But we can fix this. I'll post an apology video. We'll go to counseling, work things out privately." An apology video. I sat down in my recliner, the one Jennifer had been trying to replace with something more aesthetically pleasing for months. "That's your solution?" "It's a start." Ava looked up from her phone. "Dad, Mom's been getting hate messages all day, like really nasty stuff. People are calling her horrible names." For a moment, I felt a flicker of something that might have been guilt. Then I remembered the screenshots on my phone. "That's unfortunate," I said, "but actions have consequences. See?" Jessica pointed at me like I'd just proved her point. "That's exactly the kind of toxic attitude that got us here. Jennifer makes one little video, and you respond with this vindictive campaign to destroy her reputation." "One little video," I almost laughed. "You're right, Jessica. I have been vindictive. But you know what? I'm just getting started." The room went quiet. Jennifer's face went pale. "What do you mean?" she whispered. I pulled out my phone and opened the folder of screenshots Carol Peterson had sent me. "I mean, I know about Ryan. I know about the Lakeside Motel. I know about your little plan to use that TikTok video as justification for divorcing me." Jennifer's composure cracked completely. Dave, I can explain. Explain what? How you've been cheating on me for 3 months. How you planned that whole humiliation video as part of your exit strategy. How you and your boy toy have been laughing about what a pathetic husband I am. Jessica was staring at Jennifer with shock. Jen, you said you weren't seeing anyone. I'm not. It's not like that. I held up my phone, showing them the photo of Jennifer and Ryan kissing in the motel parking lot. Then what is it like? Ava looked like she was about to be sick. Mom, you cheated on Dad? Ava, sweetheart, it's complicated. It's really not. I stood up, pocketing my phone. Your mother decided she wanted a different life. That's her right. But she decided to destroy me in the process, and that's where she made her mistake. Jennifer was crying now, real tears of panic rather than performance. Dave, please, if you release those photos, it'll ruin everything. My job, my reputation. Your reputation. I looked at her with genuine amazement. You just spent the last week turning me into a laughingstock on social media, and you're worried about your reputation? That's different. How? She opened her mouth, then closed it. For the second time in 2 days, Jennifer had no answer. I walked toward the door, then stopped. Oh, and Jessica, you might want to distance yourself from this situation. When the whole story comes out, you won't want to be standing too close to the blast radius. Jessica's face went white. What do you mean? I mean, I know you've been covering for Jennifer, providing alibis, helping her plan her little rendezvous. That makes you an accomplice. I left them sitting in stunned silence and drove to Murphy's bar, where I ordered a whiskey and tried to figure out my next move. The war was just beginning. The video I posted the next morning was simple. Me, sitting in my truck outside the Lakeside Motel, speaking directly to the camera. A lot of people have been asking for my side of the story. Here it is. I laid out everything: the 3-month affair, the premeditated nature of Jennifer's original video, the text messages planning my humiliation. I showed the photos, read the messages aloud, and explained how my wife had tried to manipulate public opinion to justify her betrayal. Jennifer wanted to make our marriage public. She wanted to turn our problems into content. So here's the content she really created: a masterclass in deception, manipulation, and betrayal. The video went viral within hours. Not the modest viral success of Jennifer's original post, but genuine, explosive, internet-breaking viral. Millions of views, thousands of shares. News outlets picking up the story. My phone became unusable from the volume of calls and messages. I turned it off and went to work, where Murphy sent me home because reporters were camping outside the garage. Let this blow over, he advised. Take a few days, let the circus move on to someone else. But the circus was just getting started. By evening, the story had evolved beyond social media drama into something bigger. Think pieces about infidelity in the digital age. Discussions about public shaming and social media accountability. Jennifer's employer released a statement placing her on administrative leave pending an internal review. Ryan Mitchell, the influencer, posted a video claiming he'd been manipulated by Jennifer, that he was just as much a victim as I was. The comments section tore him apart. Jessica, Jennifer's best friend, was exposed as having helped coordinate their meetings, providing cover stories and alibis. Her real estate license came under review when it emerged she'd been using company resources to help Jennifer plan her affair. But it was Ava's response that surprised me most. She posted her own TikTok video, tearful but resolute. I need to apologize to my dad. I participated in something cruel and dishonest, and I'm ashamed of myself. My mom cheated on my dad for months, then tried to make him look like the villain when he found out. That's not okay. That's never okay. The video got 2 million views in 12 hours. I found Jennifer at the house that evening, sitting alone in our bedroom with her laptop closed beside her. She looked like she'd aged 10 years in 3 days. It's over, she said without looking up. My job, my reputation, everything. Are you happy now? I sat down on the edge of the bed we'd shared for 20 years. No, I said honestly. I'm not happy, but I'm not sorry either. I never meant for it to go this far. Yes, you did. You planned every bit of it. The only thing you didn't plan for was getting caught. She finally looked at me, and I saw something I hadn't seen in years. The woman I'd married, before the ambition and social climbing and desperate need for validation had consumed her. I loved you once, she said quietly. I know. I loved you too. Past tense. Can you forgive me? I thought about it for a long moment. About 20 years of marriage. About the good times before everything went wrong. About the woman she used to be. Maybe someday, I said, but not today, and not tomorrow. She nodded, accepting the verdict. What happens now? Now we get divorced. Quietly, without any more drama. You rebuild your life. I rebuild mine. We figure out how to be decent co-parents to Ava. In the videos, the story, will fade away eventually. Something else will capture the internet's attention. But Jennifer, the internet never forgets. This will follow you forever. She started crying again, but I didn't comfort her. That wasn't my job anymore. 3 months later, the divorce was final. Jennifer moved to another state, taking a junior position at a small firm that was willing to overlook her notoriety. Ryan Mitchell's influencer career never recovered from the scandal. Jessica lost her real estate license and left town. Ava stayed with me, finishing her senior year at the local high school. Our relationship was still healing, but we were working on it. I kept working at Murphy's garage, kept training at Marty's gym, kept living my supposedly pathetic life. But something had changed. The town looked at me differently now, not as Jennifer's disappointing husband, but as the man who'd stood up for himself when it mattered. You won, champ, Marty said one evening as I worked the heavy bag. How's it feel? I thought about it as I threw combinations, feeling the familiar burn in my shoulders and arms. Empty, I said finally. Necessary, but empty. That's how winning usually feels. The satisfaction comes later, when you realize you can respect yourself again. He was right. I could look at myself in the mirror without shame now. I could hold my head up in town, knowing that everyone had seen exactly who Jennifer really was and exactly how I'd handled it. I'd won the war, just like Marty had asked. But victory in a war like this wasn't celebration. It was just